Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this virtual edition of the Falls Township Zoning Hearing Board for January 12th, 2021. Before we get to our main agenda items, we're going to have our board reorganization motions and acceptances. So first one, I'll ask for a motion to accept Dan Miles as the chair.
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
At this point, I'll look for a motion to accept Al Brooks as the vice chair of the board. Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
We have a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And now we'll make a motion, or look for a motion to accept Scott Dioria as the board recording secretary. I'll make that motion. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We received a letter from the Office of Bidlingmeyer and Bidlingmeyer asking the board consider reappointing Keith Bidlingmeyer as solicitor to the Falls Township Zoning Hearing Board for the year 2021. The firm would bill at a rate of $175 per hour for any work performed. We have a motion to accept Keith Bidlingmeyer as solicitor at his billable rate for the year 2021.
I'll make that motion.
We have a
I'll second.
All in favor?
I'll second.
Aye.
We have a
Thank you, everybody.
letter of request to accept Karen Wright Browndorf as the board court reporter, requesting to be retained as a court reporter of the Falls Township Zoning Hearing Board for 2021 at the same rate of pay as 2020. We have a motion to accept Karen Wright Browndorf.
I'll make that motion.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome back, Karen.
Thank you.
Next, I'll entertain a motion to accept the meeting date, time, and place as the second Tuesday of every month, 7 p.m. in the public meeting room, Falls Township at 188 Lincoln Highway, Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania, 19030. And with notation that any meetings for any necessity would need to be virtually will be held virtually. We have a motion to accept date, time, and place with the stipulation of possible for virtual.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
In favor?
Aye.
So our meetings will be second Tuesday of the month as they have been, 7 p.m. We will be in the public meeting hall unless we can't be for reasons obvious to everyone. So all notifications will be sent out if it will be a virtual meeting, as they have been for the most of the last half of last year. So, okay. That is going to conclude our board reorganization. We are going to move into our agenda items at this point. If we could load in our first agenda item.
Yes, Gable Signs is coming in. Stand by.
Okay, great. That'd be petition number 2 on our list. Gable Signs, 471 South Oxford Valley Road, Fairless Hills, PA, requesting dimensional variances for 2 facade signs which exceed the allowable 32 square foot area. We'll wait for Gable to get loaded.
They're in by audio only.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
She's in the room, Dan. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Just the applicant or attorney?
Yes, so I am actually the account manager for Gable Signs for the Giant Company.
Okay, give me 1 second, then I'm going to have you sworn in by our court reporter before you get started. And if you could do me a favor, after you're done being sworn in, if you could state and spell your full name.
Absolutely.
Okay, Karen?
You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
If you could state your name and spell it, please.
My name is Elizabeth, Elizabeth Delosier, Ozier. I'm a representative of Gable Signs, and we represent the Giant Company.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Delozer. So if you could just explain, what's going on with the signs, if you can go through the relief you're asking for.
Dan.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Before we do that, we have to mark some exhibits for your petition.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, real quickly, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB1, along with the accompanying statement that was sent by Stephanie Tuccio, Tuccio. 2 will be a permit denial letter from Falls Township dated 11/23 of 2020. 3 is a sign package submitted by the applicant. 4 is 4 pages containing 4 colored photographs, one of which shows that the property was posted as required. 5 will be the Zoom notification to the applicant. 6 will be proof of publication, the Bucks County Courier Times, showing this matter was published December 29th, 2020, and then again, January 5th, 2021. We received information, or at least we received correspondence from the applicant in regards to notification to the adjacent property owners. What I'll do is I will mark that this collection of papers as A1, and it verifies, or at least it sets forth that the adjoining or abutting property owners were notified. And ma'am, is it Deluzier? Did I pronounce it right?
Delozer.
Okay. We received a letter from Stephanie Tuccio. Do you work with her?
Stephanie Tuccio is our third-party permit expediter.
Okay. And did she provide you a copy of the letter that was sent to the property owner?
Yes, sir, she did.
Okay. And did you have communication with her in regards to that letter that was sent?
Yes, she advised me that it was sent, that everything that needed to be posted was posted. She also, the letter that was drafted for the hardship was drafted and reviewed. She and I reviewed it together. So everything that she did was in conjunction with our instructions.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, I am satisfied the appropriate notice have been satisfied. This matter can proceed.
Oh, great. Thank you, Mr. Billingmeyer. Okay, Mr. Delozer, now if you could explain the relief you're asking for and what's going on with the
Okay.
signs.
This, as you know, this has been a Giant food store for several years. Giant has recently gone through a rebranding. They have changed their logo as well as some of the secondary service signs that they have on their buildings. As part of that rebranding and that refresh for the company, they have sought to refresh the front of this store. Currently, they have 332.89 square feet of signage, which includes their primary Giant sign, as well as secondary service signs that show the different services that they allow within the store, including pharmacy, seafood. There's also a bank, a bakery, and a deli. When we went to go seek to change this, their new layout is a little bit more streamlined. It doesn't have quite as many signs. It focuses more on the primary secondary services that they provide, the most prevalent, which is their pharmacy, as well as their beer and wine services, and obviously the bank, which is a tenant within a tenant. When we went to go do the code research for this, we found that this, under new code, this location is only permitted to have 32 square feet, whereas obviously that is 300 square feet less than what they have on the building at this time. What we've proposed is 252.69 square feet, which is 80 square feet less than what's already on the building. And we applied for the variance and stated the hardship that obviously because we offer multiple services within the store, it would be a hardship for the business to not be able to advertise those services, specifically the pharmacy and the bank. we did, when we opted for this, just as a caveat, Giant currently, their standard is a 6-foot Giant letter set. However, because of the restrictions here, we didn't want to go that large. The current Giant letter set that is on the building is 4 foot. So we wanted to try and stay as much within or less than what is already on the building, so as to acknowledge the fact that the code has changed. However, we do feel that the 32 square feet is severely restrictive, especially for a building of this size.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Delozer. Would you like to, can we open it up for some board comment this time?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Bill, you're muted. Do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Thanks. Colin?
I have no questions this time.
Scott?
I'm good. Thank you.
Al?
No, I have nothing at all, Dan. I'm good.
Yep, okay. Yeah, I have no questions. Seems like you're pointing out that you're staying within what was already there, if not trying to decrease slightly if you can. Any public comments or questions for this petition?
No public comment.
Matt, anything received through the township in correspondence about this we should know about? You're muted. Maybe.
We did not receive anything.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Can I just add one more exhibit? Since the exhibit, since the applicant notification letter was sent to a different person, I think we should probably mark that as ZHB 7.
Okay.
Sorry for that.
No, great. I mean, better to have it on the record as should be. We don't have any confusion. Mr. Lozier, I mean, without any board comment here, anything in closing you'd like to say before we take this to motion?
No, sir. I think we pretty much covered it. Like you said, you know, we did take into consideration that the zoning has and the restrictions on signage have changed considerably since this building was originally done. I believe these signs have been up for almost 8 years. So we didn't want to go too large, but we did want to try and reduce as much as we can while still making it clear to the public what services are offered within the business.
Great. Thank you. It's appreciated. Okay. Would someone like to make a motion for this petition?
I'll
Scott?
make the motion. I move that the application of gable signs requesting dimensional variances from section 209-45Q5B of Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to allow 2 facade signs which exceed the allowable 32 square foot area at the property located at 471 South Oxford Valley Road, Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania, 19030, as depicted on the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Scott, if you could poll the board, please.
Yes, myself is yes. Bill,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
Colin,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Ms. Delozier. The petition has been approved. You'll receive a letter, or someone will receive a letter from our solicitor's office regarding next steps, et cetera.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Good evening. Have a nice night.
You too.
Okay, moving on. Mark petition number 3 on our agenda for Grand Affair Party Rentals, West Trenton Avenue, Marsville, PA. Requesting the following dimensional variances to section 209, 16F and table 1A to permit a front yard setback of 11.69 where 14.89 is existing and 25 is required. Allow for increased impervious surface of 73.67 where 45 is required. To allow building coverage ratio of 33.15 where 30 is allowed. Section 209, 38.1 to require buffer yards abutting the neighborhood HC, Highway Commercial District, or apartment complex to the rear of the property. And to permit 5 parking spaces where 9 spaces would otherwise be required. Okay, good evening, Mr. McGuigan. Want to have your Anybody sworn in for your petition?
Yes, sir. I'm here with my client, Mr. Kevin Metz. He will be testifying, so.
Is Kevin Mullin in the room, Kyle? Oh, I'm with you. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you.
My bad.
Excellent. So, Mr. Metz, next week you hear via our court reporter. She's going to swear you in, okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Could you please state your full name and spell your full name?
Kevin Metz, KevinMetz.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Kevin.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. McGuigan, we're now going to mark some exhibits for the petition.
Okay, great.
Mr. Chairman, we'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB 1, along with the accompanying statement and support. 2 will be proof of publication in the Bucks County Courier Times, showing this matter was published December 29, 2020, and then again, January 5th, 2021. 3 will be 4 pages containing 4 colored photographs, one of which shows the property was posted as required. 4 are sketch plans for the proposed property. One moment, please. 5 will be the letter sent to the applicant providing notice of tonight's meeting. We previously received the certification of service from applicant's attorney. And what I will do is mark that A1, unless Mr. McGuigan, you have pre-marked exhibits.
I don't know.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll mark that as A1, and it's true and accurate that you sent this certificate of service to the township prior to tonight's meeting. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay, and the notice that appears, that notice was sent to the adjoining or abutting property owners as listed on the notice, on the list of property owners. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I do have one more exhibit. I'm sorry. It'll be 6. It'll just be the Zoom notification to the applicant's attorney, so we can have that part of the record also. And with that, I'm satisfied the appropriate notice have been satisfied and this matter can proceed.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Billingmeyer. Okay, Mr. McGuigan.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Good evening, board. Thank you very much for hearing this evening. My name is Bryce McGuigan from Bay.
I'm sorry, you have a lot of feedback. It's hard to hear you.
Hang on. Is this any better?
That's better.
We were getting some bad feedback periodically. I'm not sure. Hopefully it'll help.
If it gets bad, I can always keep my video but call in so you can get the audio from my phone. So
We'll
just
see how it
let
goes.
me know. Okay. So thank you very much again. Bryce McGuigan from Begley Carlin here on behalf of Kevin Metz and his company, Grand Affair Party Rentals. They're the owners of the property that's located on West Trenton Avenue in Morrisville. The property is presently zoned in the HR High Residential District, or High Density, rather, Residential District. The property is improved by a single brick building that's around 1,000 square feet. The building is presently used for storage specifically of items related to Mr. Metz's business, which is a party rental company. So it's equipment, tables, chairs, tents, that sort of thing. Now storage is generally not permitted in this district. For this particular parcel, however, there was a zoning hearing board decision in 1985 that granted zoning approval for the use of, I believe, quote, storage of building supplies and other general supplies. And that was confirmed by the township when we sent in our letter of intent. The issue is that my client can't reasonably use the property for storage when he's limited to such a small building. So what we're proposing is to build an addition onto the structure that would be approximately 3,910 square feet. Now, in order to do that, we're seeking 5 variances. The first variance is for impervious surface, asking for impervious surface of 73.67%, where 45% is otherwise allowed. Second is for a front yard setback of 11.69 feet, where 14.89 is existing and 25% is otherwise required. Third, to permit building coverage of 33.15%, where 30% is otherwise the maximum. Next, to not require buffer yards between the abutting highway commercial district as well as the neighboring apartment complex. And last, to permit 5 parking spaces rather than 9. With respect to impervious surface, obviously this looks like a bit of a large increase. I think as my client will testify in a moment, the request is in keeping with the use of property, as in keeping with the fact that we're trying to use this as a storage use. And unfortunately, while the ZHB did allow us to use this as a storage facility, the problem is we're still confined by the otherwise residential area restrictions. Significantly, next door in the highway commercial district, the minimum impervious surface, or maximum rather, is 70%. So we're in keeping with that. The remaining variances are rather minimal in nature. We're seeking a front yard variance for an additional 3% due to the, or rather 3 feet due to the existing nonconformity. Building coverage variance is again an additional 3%. The buffer yard variances, again, we wouldn't be able to comply with this due to the small nature of our lot. Also, there's really no practical need to buffer against the Wawa neighboring, as well as the parking lot for the apartment complex. Lastly, for parking, as my client will testify in more detail, there's not going to be any permanent employees here on the site, and it's not going to be open to the public. So there's no need for the additional 4 parking spaces that the ordinance contemplates. So with that, I have Kevin Metz here tonight. He's already been sworn in. And with that, I would, if the board doesn't have any questions for me preliminarily, then I would like to introduce Mr. Metz and for testimony.
Yeah, Mr. Vergara, if you could just, we'll begin with Mr. Metz's testimony. I'm sure most of the questions are going to come through that. So.
Perfect. And again, if there's a problem with the audio, please just let me know and we'll figure it out.
We've been really good since we asked you to straighten it out. So thank you.
No problem. I hope that doesn't jinx it, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, Kevin. Please introduce yourself to the panel.
Kevin Metz,
All right. Where do you currently live?
Yardley, Pennsylvania.
All right. Are you the owner of the property on West Trenton Avenue that we're here for today?
Yes.
All right. And you bought that back in January of 2019. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. And currently there's just a small, about 1,000 square foot brick building there.
Correct.
And that dates back to what, 1940s?
Probably 40s or 50s from the research I can do. Yeah.
All right. You're going to have to speak up a little bit to
Yeah.
make sure I
Yes.
can hear you. All right. Now you use that for storage for your business, right?
Yes.
And your business is Grand Affairs Party Rentals?
Grand Affair Party Rentals.
All right. And what exactly, I might sound like a stupid question, what does your business do?
Provide rental equipment for parties and weddings and stuff, and install tents, tables, and chairs,
All right.
mostly.
So at the location we're here for today, what do you store at that location?
Mostly tents, tables, and chairs.
Is that small building that currently exists, is that enough to provide sufficient storage for your business or any business?
No, it's not.
All right. And is that why you're looking into building this addition to the structure?
Yes.
All right. So you're going to maintain the existing building, but what we're proposing is an addition to that existing building, right?
Yes.
All right. And you're looking to build, it's about 3,900 square feet?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do me a favor, just explain to the board, why is it that you're asking for this addition? What are you planning to store if you get approved?
The same thing, tents, tables, chairs, we have dance floors and some other things, but it's mostly tents, tables, and chairs, lights, dance floor. But I only have, everything is stored at my house in my 2-car garage and my 2 trucks and my shed. So I've been out of room for a long time. So with the size of my business, I need a lot more room.
All right. And you're not going to be storing any industrial chemicals or anything like that, correct?
No, nothing like that.
All right. Now, in terms of how you envision this working, are you going to have any employees there permanently?
No.
All right. How is it going to work in terms of employees accessing the property?
So it's usually 6 months a year that we run our business. usually Monday through Friday. We load 1 to 2 trucks load in the morning, and then we come back. And sometimes on setup days, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we load once in the morning, then once in the afternoon, and then we're not usually at the building after 5 o'clock. And then on pickup days, we usually unload twice a day. Same thing, twice a day.
All right. So when you're loading, how long are you or your employees there at the property?
With both trucks, it's usually an hour, hour and a half tops.
All right. So when you're not loading, when you're not unloading, is anyone going to be there?
No,
right.
no,
Is it going to be accessible to the public? Generally,
no,
no. Okay.
no, no.
Okay. So now to do this and to operate your business like this, you need a few variances. So let's go through each of them. So first, we need a variance for impervious surface. Is that right?
Yes,
All right. And we're requesting a variance to allow 73.67% instead of the 45, correct?
correct.
All right. Now, might seem like a lot, but 73%, as far as you're familiar with, is that similar to other districts within the township that allow an industrial or commercial use such as storage?
Yes,
All right. But here it's technically a residential district, so it's for 45.
yes,
And this storage use, you'll confirm, it was previously granted to the property by the zoning hearing board some 35 odd years ago.
yes,
All right. So in order for you to operate this storage use on the property, for you to do that, you need this higher impervious that relates to the storage use rather than the residential use. Fair enough?
yeah,
Okay.
yes. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Now, you know that in order to do this, in order to increase your impervious by such a large amount, you're going to need to do something to mitigate additional stormwater runoff. You know that, right?
Yes, I do know that.
All right. And you've retained an engineer, I believe, Jim Oakes from Tri-State, in order to work with you on that, correct?
Correct.
All right. And in my conversations with Jim Oakes, he has confirmed that it won't be an issue in order to be able to capture this additional stormwater and hold it on the property, correct?
Correct.
All right. And if you need to put in some pervious paving or whatnot in order to assist in those efforts, you'd be willing to do that?
Sure. Yes.
And you know that after today, you would have to go through a development process, and you'd have to work with township and the township engineer in order to make sure that any stormwater plan meets the township satisfaction, correct?
Correct.
And you're willing to do that?
Yes.
Okay. The next variance we need is for a front yard setback. And that's basically, we're seeking an additional 3 feet nearer to the property line. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. We're also requesting a variance for building coverage, and that's for an extra 3% above the 30% maximum, correct?
Yes.
All right. The next variance that we're asking for relates to the buffering from the nearby apartment complex and the nearby Wawa / I believe CVS, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, your lot, it's a relatively small lot, correct?
Yeah,
You don't really have the room to add in 50 feet of buffering.
that's correct.
That would encompass a giant portion of your lot.
That is correct.
All right. Now, practically, on the one side of your lot where there's the Wawa and the CVS, do you see any reason why you would need to put landscaping there to buffer against the Wawa?
No, they actually have their own, they have a hill there that has not been developed by them, that is between their property and mine, a hill and trees there, so that is not definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
And then to the rear of your property where there's an apartment complex, right? And they have a parking lot that's actually abuts your property directly, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So any reason that you can see to provide buffering against the parking lot?
No, I don't see.
Okay. In fact, their actual apartment building, it's, I believe, between 80 and 100 feet away from your property, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the last variance that we're requesting relates to parking. Now, according to the project that we presented here, you are offering 5 parking spaces, right?
Yes.
And you need 9?
Yes, I was aware that that's what they required.
All right. Now, as we stated before, you're not going to have any employees stay in there full time, right?
No, that's
And-
correct.
And you're not going to have any members of the public showing up for your business, right?
No,
All right.
No.
In fact, this address, is it going to be publicly accessible to the public who know that Grand Affair Party Rentals is located here?
no,
And even employees who use the trucks, would the parking be able to satisfy their requirements to park their cars and pick up the trucks, or
Yes.
would they even be parking there?
It's not all of them. We only have three employees, so 4 employees. So yes, they will not be accessing the property to more than 5 spots. That's for sure.
All right, so 5 is more than sufficient for what you're
Yeah,
proposing?
yeah.
Okay. Now, is it fair to say that you're familiar with the surrounding area?
Yes,
All right, you're aware of your neighbors and you've spoken with your neighbors.
yes.
Do you know, have any of them come to you and express any concern regarding this project?
No, not at all.
And is it fair to say that you also plan to install, to the best of your ability, landscaping on the property too?
Yes.
All right,
correct.
you trying to be a good neighbor?
Trying, yes.
All right, is there any thing you can think of, any reason why what you're proposing would be detrimental or otherwise harmful to the community?
No, I cannot.
All right. So with that, I would like to, if the board has any questions for either myself or Mr. Metz, we'll attempt to answer those.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, we'll start. Bill, you're mute. Yep, thank you. Questions?
My main question was on water runoff, but I guess as in the hearing that you're testifying that you will meet land development in that with that.
Correct. As far as runoff goes, we understand that we're going to have to gain township approval for any plans that we provide. So we're willing and will 100% work with township on that. And in speaking with our engineer, that should not be an issue.
So that will be mitigated there.
What's that, sir?
That'll be taken care of there in land development.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have right now.
Great. Scott?
I have the same concern as Bill because there are other neighbors in the area that are complaining about water runoff coming from other areas in that region. And, you know, I don't see anything here on the engineered drawings that show retention basin or underground water storage or any other way for that. So again, I just want to make sure that if we get a motion for this, that it is put into the works to get taken care of so that water is mitigated for sure.
Yeah, I understand that. And the plans that we have here were prepared by an engineer who's no longer working with us on the project. Like I said, we've retained Jim Oak from Tri-State to work with that. And Jim is aware of that issue. We're going to obviously produce those plans during the development process. And again, any potential approval tonight, we would be more than happy to expressly make that contingent upon approval of the township engineer of any stormwater management plans that we provide.
Okay, and yeah, with the parking, I hear that you have a few trucks that are going to be on the road and you've only got 5 parking spaces and you've got 4 employees. So that doesn't leave any other real room there for any other access. So that's just another concern that I had on that.
Sure. Well, Kevin, maybe you want to address how the parking's going to work and how your employees are going to use the lot.
Well, one of my employees is my son. He drives with me every day. We really only have one other employee. Sometimes we have a 4th employee, depending on how busy we are. But basically 2 trucks and maybe 1 or 2 cars. And the trucks are just smaller box trucks. They're not big trucks.
That's all I have, Dan.
Okay. Al?
Now I have nothing. It'd be nice to see that get developed there. It's been vacant for a long time.
Colin?
So, yeah, well, I mean, they already asked all the questions I had, so I have no more at this time.
Just to be, touch back on this, they're going to be overnight parking, at least 3 box trucks there in the back? Or
No, 1, maybe 2.
Okay.
I only own 2, and one. My son takes 1 home sometimes.
Right. Okay. That's the only question. And if I'm reading the plan, this preliminary plan from DUMAC correctly, that parking is in the rear away from West Trenton Avenue towards the apartment building? Or is it in
Yes.
the front?
We can design it that way, yes.
I'm not just asking what your plan was. We
The
want
plan
to,
have the parking in the rear. I'm sorry to interrupt.
that's okay. That's just was kind of just trying to get a sense of, what the overall look and feel would be. So great. Are any public comments, questions, Kyle?
This is David, and there's no public comment other than Kevin's not that good of a basketball player.
Duly noted and now on the record. Thank you. Matt, any correspondence to the township that we should know about?
No correspondence.
Okay, thank you. Any further board comments, questions in light of any of our questions here before we turn it back for close? Yes, Scott.
Keith, I was just wondering if it would be possible to amend that motion to make sure that that they do work with the township on that to get that taken care of, just so it's on the record.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. I mean, that's certainly an appropriate condition if you wanted to attach that.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, Scott, do you want to work with Keith to word that, or if you were to make a motion, would you be comfortable wording something, or?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that.
Okay, great. All right, well, let's just carry on through here now for offer Mr. McGuigan, if you care to anything in closing.
No, I don't think I'm fine. I think the board has a pretty firm idea of what we're trying to do here. And again, obviously this property has been a little vacant for a while now. It's been underdeveloped, and we're just trying to do something that'll help both my client and the community.
Okay. All right. Well, would at this point someone like to entertain a motion?
I'll make the motion. I move that the application of Grand Affair Party Rentals requesting dimensional variances from section 209-16F and table 1A to permit a front yard setback of 11.69 feet where 14.89 feet is existing and 25 feet is required, to allow for increased impervious surface of 73.67% where 45% is required, to allow for building coverage ratio of 33.15% where 30% is allowed, assuming that they do work with the township for proper water retention and mitigation for the impervious surface. Section 209-38.1 to not require buffer yard abutting the neighboring HC district or apartment complex to the rear of the property, and section 209-42H 22B1 to permit 5 parking spaces where 9 spaces would otherwise be required, of the Falls Township zoning ordinance to be granted at the property located at West Trenton Avenue, Morrisville, Pennsylvania 19067, as depicted in the plans, in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, Scott, if you could pull the board, please.
Myself, yes. Bill?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Colin?
Yes.
And Dan?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Metz, your petition has been approved. Mr. McGuigan, you'll receive correspondence through our solicitor's office, okay?
Thank you very much, board. Much appreciated. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
All the applicants are in.
Okay, excellent. This is petition number 4, Pet Meadow LLC, 6 Steel Road, requesting a use variance for a pet cremation business. Okay, I see. Good evening. One second. Robert Aviolo? I'm sorry, you're muted, sir.
There you go. That's better. It's Rob Avolio from Eckert Siemens, Sharon and Milan.
Good evening. We're going to have your witness sworn in at this point, okay?
That's fine. There's potentially 2, so we can do that at the same time, I presume.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's 2 here, they can both be signed in. We're just going to need them to individually state their names and spell them for our court reporter so she can get all on record, okay?
Perfect.
Great.
Okay, do both of you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You're muted, Miss.
Still muted, ma'am.
There we are. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I do.
Okay, can both of you please state your full name and spell your full name, please?
My name is Deborah Bjorling, Bjorling.
Thank you.
I'm John Bjorling. Same spelling, Bjorling.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. All right, Mr. Aviolo.
Thank you.
We're going to mark some exhibits through our solicitor for your petition, and then we're going to turn it over to you, okay? He'll have some questions for you along the way.
Excellent, thanks. Okay, great.
Mr. Bidlingmeyer?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. We'll mark the application for zoning ordinance appeal as ZHB1 along with the accompanying statement from Pet Meadows. 2 will be a letter and package submitted by the applicant that includes the application with addendum, pictures of the current operations, an older site plan that was all submitted to the township. 3 is it will be a use denial letter from Falls Township dated October 21st, 2020. That was sent to the applicant. 4 will be 5 pages containing 5 colored photographs, one of which shows that a property was posted as required. 5 will be the Zoom notification and waiver signed by the applicant. 6 will be proof of publication in the Bucks County Courier Times, showing that this matter was published December 29, 2020, and then again January 5th, 2021. That is all the board exhibits. I've been provided originally 8 pages from the applicant. What I'm going to do is, I know we were also provided a separate package regarding the notice to the adjoining or abutting property owners. And if I may, Mr. Ravello, did you submit this packet or is it the applicant who submitted it to the township?
The electronic packet that was emailed, I think last Friday, was accomplished by us. There may have been a prior submission by the applicant directly.
Okay, I'm looking at, it's 20 pages that was submitted to the township. Do you know, was that submitted by you?
Is there, what you're looking at, does that include an affidavit on the first part of that?
Yes, sir. Affidavit of proof of service?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that packet, pages 1 through 20, collectively of 8 as A1. And what has been submitted, if I can ask you just a couple of questions about that, Mr. Ravello.
Sure.
That notice that appears in that packet as Exhibit A, those form letters were sent to the adjoining or abutting property owners?
That's correct. And also attached are the proofs of the mailings of each of those.
Okay. And that letter sets forth tonight's meeting as required, and the Zoom notifications. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm satisfied the appropriate notice has been satisfied and this matter can proceed. I believe that is all of the exhibits that we received from the applicant. If there is more, Mr. Ravello, I would just ask you just pick up after A1 because, like I said, I'm going to mark your affidavit of service as a.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Keith. All set?
Okay. Yep, excellent. All you, thank you.
Perfect, thanks. This is an application for a use variance for property in the heavy industrial zone. It is a pet cremation business. The name is Pet Meadow. It's a family-owned business. This will be the 4th location. The family currently has 2 locations in New Jersey, 1 location in Texas, and this would be the next location. The purpose of this location is to service the pet hospitals that are in and surround Bucks County, including Philadelphia County and the neighboring counties. The functions that will take place that Deb Bjorling will testify in a little bit. The functioning inside with respect to the cremation is they are large crematories that are brought in. There's two styles of crematories. One are communal crematories where people anonymously drop off their pets or leave their pets with a pet hospital, and they're aggregated, cremated, and then buried in a pet cemetery. The others are private submissions where the individual owners are looking for their pet back, and their pet is redelivered, usually in either an urn or some sort of a box. So at this particular facility, which is 6 Steel Road, not only will the cremation facility or purpose take place, but also the redelivery, the reshipping of pet remains to their owners. So with that kind of as a summary, and by the way, the crematories themselves are regulated and they are approved by PADEP. The discharge is regulated by DEP, and these are smart machines. So you'll hear some testimony that these machines self-regulate their discharge. So in the event there is any particulate that starts coming up a stack, the machine is decommissioned. Visually, when you look from the outside of this building, if you were to grant this approval, you would not see any discharge. You wouldn't see smoke. You wouldn't see particulate. All you would see if you stared for an extended period would be heat trails like you would see on a very hot day over a roadway. So it's really innocuous. All the operations take place inside as designed. The delivery of the pets will occur with delivery trucks and will be delivered and unpacked inside the building. So no operations are accomplished outside the building in the public's view. This is exactly the way the other facilities work. This would be nothing more than an extension of that. So with that summary, if I can ask Deb Bjorling a few questions. Deb, this is a family business?
Yes,
John Bjorling, who was sworn in a little bit earlier, is your son?
yes.
Which operation of the facilities does he run currently?
John is in Texas. John manages our Texas facility.
Okay, and are you responsible for the New Jersey facilities?
Yes,
Do you also anticipate being responsible for the Pennsylvania facility?
yes.
So tell the board briefly, if you would, or describe for them exactly the function of what a crematory does with respect to pets.
If anybody has lost a pet with a vet hospital, the main thrust of our business is that we have agreements with veterinary hospitals. When a pet dies at a hospital, we'll pick it up, bring it to our facility, cremate it, and then return it back to the vet hospital or back to the owner, whichever the owner prefers. And
Here's his son.
Oh, Jesus.
anything else? I'm sorry?
Were you in the middle of an answer or are you finished?
I'm done. I guess I'm done.
That's fine, okay. Explain for the board, if you would, the types of crematoriums that you expect to utilize in this building, what they look like, how they operate, generally speaking.
In PA, we hope to have 2 of the single chamber, which are they're like human crematories. They sell them for humans, although we use them, and also maybe 2 multi-chamber pet crematories. And we have, in our business. Sorry about the dog. In our business, we really try to take care of the pet, and we try to do the right thing with getting the pet back to the pet owner. So that's very important in our business. There's a lot of controls. We have a chain of custody. But with the multi-chamber, each pet has his own chamber, and there's no mixing of pets. We have video cameras, and we have a great tracking system so that we can keep track of each and every pet and we know who they are and where they are. And so that way we can get them back to their owner.
That's great. Now, the protocols you've just described, those are protocols that you anticipate utilizing at 6 Steel Road if you're given the opportunity to be there. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, are those protocols that are already being utilized in the other facilities that your family business runs?
Yes.
All right. So this is not something you've not already done.
Right. Right.
And give the board the benefit of the number of years that the other pet facilities, specifically one entitled Hamilton Pet Meadow, making reference to Hamilton, New Jersey, has been in operation.
This is our 21st year. And so, you know, that's a little surprising. My son, John, was, I think, 12 years old, and he grew up with the business. We've been in Hamilton for 21 years. 3 years ago, we opened our second facility in Carlstadt in the Meadowlands. We have, in that facility, we have 2 5-chamber machines and one 1-chamber machine.
Let me stop you there for a second. When you say, so the board is oriented here, when you say a 5-chamber machine, do you mean that the device has the ability to perform cremation services for 5 pets simultaneously? However, each of those pets is cremated in a separate chamber, so there's no mixing of ashes or remains of either pet.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
And to put a finer point, not to interrupt you again, but with respect to the communal chambers or the communal crematorium that you've mentioned, is that the situation where more than one pet, because it's an anonymous receipt or for other reasons, more than one pet is cremated in the same chamber?
Right. Sometimes people do not want their pets back, and those pets we cremate together in the single chamber machine, and then we bury them in our cemetery.
Okay. And when you say our cemetery, where's that?
That's Hamilton Pet Meadow.
Okay. And how long have you operated the Hamilton Pet Meadow, not only in conjunction with the crematory, but the cemetery itself?
We've been, this is our 21st year that we've had that cemetery.
Okay. And can you give the board a sense of the volume of pets that Hamilton Pet Meadow cremates on a weekly basis?
John, can you address that? You know those numbers?
Yeah. So in a week, it could be anywhere from like maybe 500 privates, 500 privately cremated pets, and maybe 200 to 300 communal pets.
Okay. Is it your anticipation that that level of service might be replicated at the Pennsylvania facility in Morrisville?
Someday, eventually. But yes.
Okay, that's the hope. In terms of Hamilton Pet Cemetery and at that volume, what is the longevity or capacity that the pet cemetery has to receive pet ashes at the rate that you are cremating pets?
We currently don't have any capacity limitations. We're good.
No limitations. We can, we could take care of those communals for years to come. We have a lot of land there at the cemetery.
It's a deed restricted pet cemetery, so it can never be anything else, and it's meant for that.
Understand. Let's move back to the Steel Road facility. So in addition to the crematoriums that you anticipate inside, will there be refrigeration areas where you will store pets awaiting cremation?
Yes.
Yeah.
And will that be inside the facility as opposed to outside where the public might be able to view such a thing?
Yes.
Do you anticipate owners of pets, given the fact that you have other operations of longstanding nature, do you anticipate having pet owners come to the facility to pick up pet remains?
Yes.
In the short term, do you have an estimation or an approximation as to how many people might come to this facility so the board has some sense of traffic?
With hours, say from 9 to 5 every day, we might have anywhere from 4 to 8 people come a day to pick up cremains, pick up their pet.
Okay, is that to say that really the majority of pet cremains are shipped to an owner as opposed to picked up physically by an owner?
We ship a lot directly to the client, but we return a lot directly to the vet hospital.
Okay.
That's where the majority goes.
Is it a correct statement to say that the lion's share of the pets that you perform cremation services on come from pet hospitals?
Yes.
So the owner has a relationship with the hospital and the hospital a relationship with you.
Yes.
And one of your obligations is to make sure that relationship to the hospital remains intact by appropriate, regulated, and compliant service. Is that right?
Yes. Very
Okay.
much so.
Are the crematoriums themselves regulated or permitted through PADEP?
Yes. Yes.
Which portions of the crematoriums are regulated in that way?
Well, the whole machine. It's air quality. They also keep track of how many pets are cremated, the time that the pets are in the machine. There's a lot of data that our systems collect. The data is captured electronically, digitally on the machine themselves. Are getting very sophisticated with charts and digital data capturing for how long a pet is in the crematory, how many pounds, how many pets we do a day, how much emissions we have. There's opacity monitors. John can really talk more about that because he's very technical, but it's a very long permitting process. It could be up to 6 months for us to, once we apply, to even get the permit.
Right. And as I understand it, you can't make application to PADEP until a appropriate location with an appropriate use is approved. Is that right?
That's right. You have to have an approved space before you apply.
Okay. And is there a document retention procedure or policy that you operate under? So there is historical data that's maintained by you for anyone to check and see to make sure you've operated appropriately and compliantly.
For 5 years, yeah, you have to keep all that data.
Okay. And you have already done that in the other locations that already exist. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me move it a bit to the discharge of the gases, if you will, or while the cremation process is going on. Those gases are emitted through stacks. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Tell the board about the stacks in terms of size, and they pierce the roof. Is that it?
Yes. Yeah.
And at what height above the roof do those stacks terminate? So what could somebody expect to see visually?
The stacks have to be 3 feet above the roof, the highest point of the roof. So they're not very obtrusive. They're 21. I think one of the machines is 24-inch diameter. The other is a 20-inch diameter. The machines that we hope to use.
Okay. And if those machines were in operation, standing away from the building and looking at the roof, what would one see during the operation? And my question really is, do you see particulate? Do you see steam? Do you see smoke? Do you see anything?
Really, the way the permits are written and the machines run, you're not supposed to see anything. And if the machine's running properly and you shouldn't see any emissions. And the machines kind of regulate themselves too. If there's an opacity monitor, if it sees anything going through the stack, or if there's any little puff of whatever, the machine will automatically adjust the air and the gases and regulate that. It'll regulate itself. So they're very smart. The machines are smart.
Okay. And those machines are in use in Hamilton, New Jersey?
Yes. And
Are they
Carlsbad.
also, and in Texas as well, and in Carlsbad as well?
Yes. Mhm.
And all of those machines have previously been certified by either the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection or the Texas arm of that same department. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you anticipate being regulated by the PA Department of Environmental Protection in this case?
Yes.
Is there any part of your operation that occurs outside the four corners of the building?
No. No.
So you heard the statements I made initially to the board. I want to make sure that's all correct. That the trucks, you have delivery trucks or pickup trucks, if you will?
Yes, we use like a Dodge Ram vans. That's That's the vehicle that we use.
Okay.
They're not big, they're just regular vans, cargo vans.
Okay, and they are dispatched, let's say, from this facility, and they make their rounds to pick up pets, is that it?
Yes,
And traditionally, they pick up pets at vet hospitals.
yes.
And when they come in, is the intent to deliver those pets to the refrigerated portion inside? That is, that they're not unloading any van outside the building. They drive into the building, and all the work that is done with respect to a particular person's pet is accomplished inside.
Yes, and that's why we really like this building. It offers a lot of space for us to actually drive in, unload the van without being seen. And it's a very sensitive thing, a very sensitive process for us. So we want to make sure that we do everything correctly and that we're not really seen by the public in that way.
Understand. There are ancillary or secondary services that your company provides in terms of containers that will hold the remains of a pet. Is that right?
Yes.
So explain to the board, if I was a pet owner and you cremated my pet through a veterinary hospital, what options I would have to receive the pet's remains in?
We have our standard wooden box with a nameplate on it. You can have a metal urn, other different types of wooden urns. We offer a lot of products like jewelry that hold cremains, paw prints, ink paw prints, nose prints. People want to have a print so they can get a tattoo of their pet's paw, There's a whole lot of different memorial products that we offer to the public. And we also distribute paw prints to veterinarians so that they can make a paw print directly at their hospital for their client when the client is, when the pet is passing.
Okay, is it correct to say that those products, those repositories of a pet's remains, are things that are traditionally shipped out to an owner?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to the only public traffic that you anticipate seeing is that 4 plus minus people a day.
Right, for the general public, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Understand, okay. I don't think I have any questions for you at this time. Thank you, Deb. The board may.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Avalio. We'll open it up for some board questions. Deborah, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
We'll start with Bill.
Yeah, I have a question on, it says here in your letter, we would be storing the medical waste in locked vans until delivery to the destination facility. Now, those locked vans going to be locked within the building, or are they going to be locked out in your parking lot?
It could be.
It's a gated parking lot.
I understand that.
Yeah, we would try and keep them out in the parking lot, though. That's kind of
That's the question.
Could be both. Could be both. The answer is.
My question would be, I guess, to Matt next. So, are they permitted to store hazardous waste in vehicles overnight?
We don't deal with hazardous waste. It's
medical waste. I'm sorry, you call it medical waste here.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the solid waste license that we need to pick up pets, and because the state looks at pets as solid waste. So in order for us to transport pets between the hospital and our facility, we need a solid waste transporter license. And it's exactly the same license that you need to pick up sharps, which are the medical waste containers from the vets. So we kind of do that as an ancillary service for our hospitals, for our client veterinarians. And then we pick them up and then we deliver them to the destination, which could be Stericycle in East Hampton or Daniels in Eastern PA.
Understand. My question was, are you going to be storing what
Yes, we could do both.
in vans overnight in the parking lot?
Yes, in the parking, some might be in the parking lot. We might have some in the building. That's the way
My question was is that allowed use in the township? I was asking Matt, our township manager.
For medical waste in a van?
Yeah, they plan on storing medical waste in the van, and it could be there overnight. I don't know if we were allowed to do that. I remember years ago we were not, so that's why I was asking now, is that permitted?
Yeah, I mean, the use as a whole for this specific application is not permitted in this district. Storage of any kind of medical waste would be, subject to, either state or federal licensing, for that type of product. And if it's in a vehicle, again, that falls under, it's transport of any kind of waste falls under state licensing.
Yeah, so we have the state license, and I believe that we're allowed to store the waste in a locked vehicle for 14 days is the regulation.
Would this be something that would be covered by paid up eventually anyway, when they go for their overall licensing, through paid up? And as it were, that, they're going to ask these questions too, and they would need to be in compliance with the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection.
Yes, that it is regulated by DEP.
Yeah, and I think the short answer is they will need a solid waste transportation permit. And that permit will give them the authorization to store outside in a locked facility, like a van, for a predetermined period of time not to exceed.
No, I understand that. I was just wondering if that was a zoning issue of storing or medical waste overnight. That's all. It wasn't a DEP question. Just a matter, at one time in our township, we were not allowed to do that. That's why I asked that.
I guess to Matt's point, that none of this is allowed in this district anyway, so it's kind of hard to say. You can't really pick and choose, because since they're asking for a use variance, as it were, for the entire process. Hard to say that, yeah, we don't allow it anywhere, we allow it somewhere, but we're going to possibly make exception, which is variance for this to be where it is. But yeah, absolutely. And there's review from Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. It's not just a one and done, right? You're going to be subject to further review yearly or quarterly, or as it were.
We're inspected regularly.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah.
Okay. Good question, Bill. Absolutely.
That's all I have.
Excellent. Thank you. Scott.
Yeah, I just had a couple concerns because, Mr. Rivolio, you had mentioned that they were going to be using refrigeration. And I, like in the submitted pictures, I don't see one piece of refrigeration equipment. I see nothing but incinerators. And now we're talking from storing in refrigeration, it went to 14 days for animals to be outside in vans.
Oh, no.
Brings to the concern about odor, insects, that kind of thing kind of changed from being in refrigerated units to being in vans for 14 days.
I'm only talking about the sharps containers, not the animals. The animals, we have a freezer, a walk-in freezer, and we really are, we do not keep pets in vans for 14 days, not even a day. They go right into a freezer if they're not cremated right away. That's only those sharps boxes that I was talking about with the they would stay in the van.
Okay, so do you have any other controls for odors or insects there to maintain, decent air quality control around the area?
Yes. It's a very important part of what we do. It's important that we have an open door policy. I mean, and if any of you have any pets, you always want to know what's happening with your pet. Where's your pet? Who's taking care of your pet? And is it a nice place where your pet is, and that's what we try to do.
We actually do a lot of tours for veterinary hospitals as part of our business model before we contract with them, we have them in and we kind of show them our processes. So really if a pet is with us for more than 4 days, then in our system, it's considered an old pet. And then we're trying to figure out why it's been with us for 4 days, but pets are in cold storage whenever they're with us.
So you don't have an odor problem or insects?
No.
Because of the dead bodies?
No.
Okay. That's all. Thank
That's
you.
really important not to have any of that.
That is important.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially for what we do, we need to, cleanliness is a big deal. That's a big thing.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks, Scott. Al?
No, I have no questions. I think this area is a fine area for this. So I have no issues.
Colin?
I agree with Al that industrial complex is a good spot for this place. And, it seems like you have a good operation. So I hope you'll be a fine addition to the township.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Colin. It doesn't seem like this is your first rodeo, so, the comfort level with me is pretty high. Let's see if there's any any public comments or questions.
Yes, we have one public comment. Let me bring Kevin in 1 second.
Yep.
Okay, Kevin is in the room.
Hi, Kevin.
Good evening, Kevin. You're muted at this second. Yep. We're going to have you sworn in by our court reporter for public comment. And if you could, after you're sworn in and affirm that, you could state and spell your name.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, we'll issue here by our court reporter.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
My name is Kevin Krasny, Kevin Kras like Sam, and like Nancy, E like Edward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Krasny, it's your turn.
We are all in favor of this. I mean, so far, Ms. Borling, what you said appeases us. We are a neighbor across the street. I represent the owners of a building that is across the street on Steel Road. I do have one question as it relates to the refrigeration, or better yet, the freezer.
Yes.
What sort of backup power do you have in the event you lose power?
In our other two facilities, we've gotten generators, and that's what we do. We have gotten generators. We really haven't had that problem with lack of electricity.
Okay.
But I mean, I have thought of getting a generator, like a regular generator. We just haven't had that problem in Carlstadt or Hamilton as of yet. Usually what we can do is we make sure we're cremating the pets, and we try to do them very quickly so that they're not around. They're not around more than, actually by the second day a pet is with us, it should be cremated and packaged, and that's our norm.
And so one, aside from getting a generator to protect the interests of the freezer, you could accelerate the cremation and thus alleviate the problem simultaneously.
Right. Do we have problems over there with electricity, Kevin?
I have no idea. I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay.
I can't answer that. We have problems out here with electricity. That's a whole different story.
Because you're in California, right? You're in California?
Yes, ma'am.
The pets are stored in kind of heavy duty cadaver bags as well. They're like a tear cadaver bag. So it's not just a regular,
So they're insulated within the insulation.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't suspect it's a long-term problem. I'm sure it's not. But as someone who has dealt with a power outage in this building today, I can assure you it's fresh on my mind. So. That is all that I have. I wish you well, because as someone with pets, I know what it means.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Krasny.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Okay, that was all for public comment. Kyle?
No more public comment.
Oh, okay. Matt, did we receive any correspondence to the township regarding this petition?
No correspondence.
Mr. Alviolo, care to add anything in close or any further witnesses?
Just very briefly. I think the reason why we're here is that when you look at 20929, it's hard to push in this function, this effort into either B or C. B being a slaughterhouse doesn't really apply. When you look at C, C I think was distillation of bones doesn't really apply, but they touch upon the same concept kind of thing. And really, I think the focus here is this function will take place inside. It's a function that is very, very sophisticated. These machines run into hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we're looking really at a mechanized facility, which is consistent with the area. It's consistent with the spirit and purpose of the ordinance. It doesn't deviate from those concepts. It doesn't impact public safety or health. So to the extent you can pigeonhole the cremation facility into 20929, then you don't need a use variance. That conclusion's not been reached. And so the request is, this is a perfectly appropriate use for this district. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think it's appropriate now that we ask for a motion for this petition.
I'll make the motion. I move that the application of Pet Meadow LLC requesting a use variance from section 209-29B of the Falls Township zoning ordinance be granted to allow for a pet cremation business at the property located at 6 Steel Road East, Marsville, Pennsylvania, 19067, as depicted on the plans and in accordance with the testimony presented to the zoning hearing board.
I'll second.
Great. Scott, can we pull the board, please?
Myself, yes. Bill,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
Colin,
Yes.
and Dan.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Aviolo, your petition.
Thank you very much for the time. Have a great evening. Appreciate the effort.
Mr. Buring and Mr. Buring, thank you, and
Thank
good luck
you
with
so much.
everything.
Come
Thank you
visit us
very much.
anytime.
No, thank you. Hopefully not too soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Take care.
All right, with that, do we have a motion to?
I just wanted to say one thing. The only reason I brought that up about that, I don't know if you guys remember back, I know Collins remember that. Back on Pennsylvania Avenue going to the mill, they had that one place he was storing medical waste in the trucks overnight. And we ended up in a RICO lawsuit against the township.
Oh, Jesus.
So it was, that's the only reason I asked that. That's all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, even in the spirit of.
Collins remember that. That was Dorothy's doing.
See, that's when the township.
I'm just saying, I just wanted to make sure you're covered.
Yeah. Let's have a motion to adjourn.
Yes. I make that motion.
You have a second?